Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Capitalist Corner. I am your host, Mark Pellegrino, and also the chairman of the American Capitalist Party, along with my co-host and vice chair of the American Capitalist Party, Michael Liebowitz, who is also the host of his own fantastic podcast called The Rational Egoist, which you should be watching every day if you haven't already. I know shows don't come out every day. They come out a couple of times a week or so, but still, people have a lot of catching up to do. You've been doing this for a while.
A couple of years now, yeah. And I intend to pick up on the episodes soon. There's just been a lot, so it hasn't been so easy to get guests. But I'm going to reconfigure my schedule and figure out a way so I can put out at least 2 episodes a week and continue to do this as well. This is just awesome. I love doing this show.
So you've been doing it since you got out of the Huskow.
Couple months after, yeah, about 4 months after getting out of the Huskow, yeah.
Well, that's the American dream, my friend. Spend 25 years in the Huskow, come out and become a podcast celebrity and a major force in the American Capitalist Party, which, by the way, as a reminder for everybody out there, the views expressed on this show are not exclusively the views of the American Capitalist Party. They are Michael Liebowitz's views. They are Mark Pellegrino's views. Sometimes they coincide with the American Capitalist Party, sometimes not. But we do give an overall picture of how capitalists view the world and current events, and I think that's very important. So everybody please like and subscribe to this station if you want the capitalist perspective to be out there, if you want rational egoism to be a greater force in the world, if you want to be free, if you want moral agency, go out there and post this stuff, share it from YouTube to other channels so that we can get a lot of play. There's a question. Now, this is Q&A day. This is Friday, so we do have Q&A day. We also have a lot of news and stuff to talk about if the questions start to dwindle, but it looks like we have a question already. Now, this seems like a complicated question. It says, this is from Nicole Hingle. It says, my friend's husband was deported. He's been here 20 years. Do you think sanctuary cities should allow ICE into jails to get violent criminals? Well, those seems to be 2 separate concepts to me, but Michael, what do you first of all, what do you think about this whole phenomenon of ICE going into workplaces and arresting otherwise law-abiding citizens and people who are trying to just make a living like any other American?
I find the question a little bit confusing. I feel like the preface isn't related to the question. So the question, do you think sanctuary cities should allow ICE into jails to get violent criminals? See, this is a very like Mark said, it's very complex because, for one, I don't think there should be federal immigration laws, so I don't think that there should be ICE. I also don't think we should have a situation where every city in the country can just do whatever the hell they want. And I also think we should get rid of violent illegal aliens. So how do you unpack all that? And it's a very difficult thing, which is why ultimately we need rational policy and good policy, because oftentimes when you get to this point, there's nothing good that you can do. I'm reminded of Friedrich Hayek, who once said that he once again finds himself in the uncomfortable position of somebody asking him how they can escape the consequences of the policies he had been advocating against. Right, because they were facing inflation when he told them it was going to end up with inflation, and then it was too late. And I feel this is similar. I think the best thing that we can do is retrench, get our good ideas out there, and really try to change the system for better.
You know, I'm reminded of my great jiu-jitsu teacher, Jean-Jacques Machado, a legend. Love the man very much. He's oftentimes does classes where he does Q&As, right? So we'll start off the class. Any question you have, any problem you have, he will answer it. And like every great master, he always has the answer at the back of the book, and it's always a very simple answer. But oftentimes people ask him, if I get into this position, how do I get out of it? Now, the position happens to be so deep, and you're so far advanced into the position that you're really screwed. And then it becomes a matter of percentages as to whether you can get out or not. And usually the percentages aren't working for you if you're really deeply trapped into somebody's grips, let's just say. And so his answer usually is, well, my first answer is don't get into that position in the first place. And that's sort of the position we're in with respect to ICE. And this right now we have an entire unit of law enforcement that's vastly growing and has been mandated for millions more funds and able to grow and continue doing what it's doing, enforcing laws that we don't think are constitutional. That's one thing, and that's a terrible thing. But should violent foreign criminals be deported to their countries of origin? I am not against that. I'm not against that, provided they've gone through due process, have been proven to have committed the crimes they committed. In other words, going into prisons where these people have already been convicted of committing a crime, I'm not entirely against that. Am I against them going to Home Depot and grabbing people off the street, or grabbing people off of farms, or grabbing people out of any workplace where they're just simply peaceably going about their work? Indeed, I am. I think that's a terrible thing. I think it's unconstitutional. Now, how one resists that, since California has been setting a precedent for resistance, and the resistance has been violence, I do not think violent resistance is appropriate. Of course, I think you should go through the courts. We need to remember, subordinate might to right. And that means that we need to litigate these issues, take them to the courts. And that is the way that you uphold a rational society, not an irrationalist and violent society, which seems to be the direction we're going with these sanctuary cities. And many of the Democratic politicians out there, not to hit on Democratic politicians, but they have a good 8-year record now of fomenting and inciting violence against their political opposition, and that has to stop. That's not free speech. That's not responsible as a politician. What they should be advocating for is changing this at the legal level. That's my point of view. Kathy says, why do you think the Freedom Cry stormed the Bastille has endured, considering there were none to little prisoners left? Yeah, how many prisoners were in the Bastille? There was something like 4 to 6 prisoners left in the Bastille.
I want to say 6, but I'm not sure. But I think the reason is because the Bastille was such a symbol of oppression, of the monarchy just, crushing the populace, and the fact that they stormed it. And by the way, I mean, they didn't just go in there and get the 6 prisoners. I believe they also went and got quite the cache of weapons as well. It was still,
that's not all.
Yeah, it's a.
That's not all.
What else did they get?
Well, if you go to the Bastille now, there's just a stele that proclaims where the Bastille used to exist. So what they did was they dismantled it brick by brick.
Yeah,
and took that fucker down.
Yeah, so I mean, it's an awesome example of symbolism. It's an example of people rising up against the oppression. It also helped because they were able to get arms. But you are right, Kathy, that I guess Persephone says there were 7 prisoners in there. But even if it's just 7 unjustly imprisoned people at the hands of an oppressive monarchy, I still think it's worth doing. And I happen to love Bastille Day. While the French Revolution, there's a lot bad about it, there are some good things about it that I really enjoy. Not the beheadings, of course.
Well, I think their attempt to incorporate American constitutionalism in their newfound republic was a very good idea. It just went south because they embraced Rousseau. They didn't embrace Locke. And that is a problem that I think endures to this day. Alan Thomas says, how would you balance self-defense with non-violent resistance? Do you want to answer that question? Self-defense with non-resistance.
Well, I think that they're kind of 2 different things. And I I'm not of the Gandhi school, the MLK school of nonviolent resistance. I think that, there's parts of it that are effective. The fact that you reveal the contradictions in a given society, when you have a society that's supposed to be built on equal rights, and then you've got the police turning dogs and hoses, it does show certain things, contradictions within the society. It also, the nonviolent resistance, sometimes you just can't resist. You're going to get stomped on. Jesse Jackson once said, as a practical matter, there's really, what are we supposed to do against the United States government? But philosophically, I mean, at a deeper level, the right to self-defense is there. So if you choose to not use it, that may be good for strategy, but it doesn't negate the right to self-defense. And I think it's worth noting as well that Gandhi and MLK, that strategy against a Stalin or a Hitler, you're done. They just don't care. I mean, as Sam Harris, once wrote, he said that, one sociopath armed with a pocket knife could take over a country full of pacifists. And it's the same thing. Gandhi dealt with the British Empire while colonial and while doing some things that, we find abhorrent today, nevertheless was rooted in ideas of the Enlightenment and, had a history of due process and subjecting the authorities to civil law. And in America, of course, we have the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights that MLK was fighting against. That doesn't work when you're dealing with absolute tyrants. It works with people who are worried about appearing hypocritical.
Agreed. That kind of resistance works in democracies that have a root in common law or a sensibility for individual rights, and nonviolent resistance seems to be a slightly different thing to me than self-defense, which is self-defense is for your immediate safety, right? It's an emergency case, where as nonviolent resistance seems to be a more legalistic concept, where you're actually fighting a law that may be unjust, or a social system or a system of laws that may be unjust. And that nonviolent resistance can take many, many forms. It doesn't have to be just marching in the street or interfering in other ways with society. It could also take the form of legal action against these unconstitutional and immoral laws, and education, where you resist the laws that are unconstitutional by not abiding by them, of course, and of course risk the consequences of being arrested, and or educating the population as to why the laws need to be off the books and no longer there anymore. But self-defense is an emergency situation, right? It's something that no human being ever gives up under any circumstances.
No, Alan asked a question that I don't quite understand. He says, how was MLK fighting against the Constitution? I didn't say that he was fighting against the Constitution. He was fighting against an oppressive government that had the Constitution, in many cases, would have been on his side. Certainly, the constitutional principles of the Bill of Rights were on his side. So by forcing those government employees to go contrary to the spirit of how this country was founded in its meaning, he revealed their hypocrisy. He wasn't fighting against the Constitution.
No, if anything, he was trying to align the South more consistently with the Constitution, in the same way that Frederick Douglass was. When Frederick Douglass made his 4th of July oration, he took Americans to task for being hypocritical, and urged them to be more consistent practitioners of the very values that they had written about. And you can say the same thing about Martin Luther King. He was asking and protesting that America be more consistent in its values, that it practiced what it preached. And that was not against the Constitution. And if anything, I think he would.
No. But Robert Naser does make a good point that some of the civil rights that came from the 64 Civil Rights Bill, which were, large part result of the MLK protests, were, contrary to the Constitution. For instance, banning discrimination in private institutions. So we're waiting here. Allie Beard has a question, and I'm waiting for it. She says she asked it. Okay. Before I get to her question, I just want to tell Deeper with Diego that I got your message yesterday. I'm going to run your suggestion by Mark when we go off the air today. What is Allie Beard's question? Let me find it.
By the way, yes, Nasir is correct. There were aspects of the civil rights laws that were passed that were anti-constitutional, and we're actually coming to grips with these today. And in some respects, Trump, in his sloppy way, in his war against the left, is attempting to make some adjustments with respect to those iniquities. Question: what do you all think of the official White House Twitter account tweeting out the Superman Trump theme? What? I haven't seen this. Have you seen this, Michael?
I didn't know. I didn't hear of it either. Much of what Trump does, I think, is ridiculous. This sounds like it's ridiculous as well. I unfortunately can't delve too much into it because I don't know anything about it. Whatever. I'm dumbfounded by it, Mark.
I haven't seen.
For once, I'm at a loss for words.
It just seems to be more of the same old thing that we've been getting. This is a what do you call that, Michael? It's a cult of
personality.
Personality. It's a cult of personality. Now, I'm used to seeing this on the left. I get the sense that the left always sort of elevates their presidents to the levels of demigods. I have yet to been disproven in this. And the Republicans have done it once with Reagan and maybe with Lincoln, but now they're doing it with Trump, who is a far cry from either of those politicians and certainly doesn't deserve to have the Superman theme.
It's also much worse than it was. I mean, yes. Trump it's worse. It's not okay. So, oh my goodness. Thank you, Manu, and thank you, Katrin. They both sent the picture to me. Let me see if I can show Mark so he can see.
I can't really see that. Is it a picture of him in a cape? And is he like Superman? I can't hear you now either. You're muted. You're muted.
My mic does that. When I move it, it like mutes itself. But anyways, it's a picture of the Superman promo poster, but it's got Trump's face.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, this guy is such a narcissistic jackass.
Unbelievably narcissistic. I can't take it. And you know what? His fans love it. Yeah. They just keep promoting this over and over and over.
Here's Scott with yet another straw man that it's the mean tweets. No, Scott, it's not the mean tweets. It's that he's an incompetent, narcissistic, oppressive jackass who thinks that the government should be used at his behest to solve his personal vendettas, and also wants to initiate force against immigrants who are coming over here looking for jobs. He wants to violate due process. And, oh, by the way, he keeps putting tariffs on people, taking them off, announcing switches so no one knows what the hell's going on. And on top of all that, where the hell's all the deals? From what I understand, his big deal with Vietnam, there's no evidence for it other than his official Twitter account. So it's not me.
Really? That hasn't come through?
No, it's all bullshit.
Every deal
but Scott, thanks for playing.
Every deal he seems to announce that is a done deal actually seems to be in the works. It's never quite an accomplished feat yet. It's just in the works. This is absolutely absurd. Look, as the Capitalist Party, we understand that free trade makes goods accessible to everyone. It raises the standard of living for everyone. That means the poorest among us. And that means tariffs should be brought to zero. There should be free trade between nations. There should be.
I think I have a vital question, though, for you, Mark.
Go ahead. Wait. First of all, go ahead.
Is Trump being an incompetent, narcissistic jackass the official position of the American Capitalist Party, or do we need a disclaimer on that one?
Okay, I have to say that this is a disclaimer. We have to say this is our own personal point of view, but as capitalists, we have to say he is behaving in a very uncapitalistic manner, and he does not represent capitalist values. He doesn't represent individualism. He doesn't represent free trade. He doesn't respect autonomy, whether that's bodily autonomy or mental and intellectual autonomy. He represents something else. He's closer to a leftist statist than he is to a capitalist. So please, anybody out there listening to this who thinks that Trump is a capitalist, stop immediately. He's not one. This is my own opinion, but I'm sure many capitalists within the Capitalist Party would agree with me. And remember to please like and subscribe to this. If you think this information is important, needs to get out there to the world, you need to counter the misinformation out there with some rational argumentation. Like and subscribe to this station, and also share it from YouTube to other platforms. Did I say that right this time?
Yes. I want you to answer Robert's statement here.
What is that? What is the language that's being spoken?
I don't know. I think I thought it might be French, so I thought you might know it.
Is this Latin that you're speaking to us, Nathan?
I think that's Latin. I believe it's Latin.
Are you showing off your superior intellect right now?
Yes.
Could you please Could you please translate that into?
Well, Alan Thomas has chimed in to demonstrate his superiority to us as well. Alan says it's Latin, and Persephone. Persephone says it's Latin placeholder text. Then Deeper with Diego says Persephone, don't ruin the joke. Okay. Oh, so Robert's just letting us know he's still listening. All right. Look, even the Ayn Rand fan club could not evade agreeing with the fact that Trump is not a capitalist in their debate with Michael, says Gary Menard. Thank you, Gary Menard, for also referencing my debate performances. Okay, Mark, what do we got? We got some stories, right? I did send you, I think, an article or two this morning.
Oh, you sent me a plethora of articles, as you always do, and I had to study them after I did interval training. I woke up at 5 o'clock this morning to do training, and then I was confronted with, 1,000 articles that I had to go through. So I'm going to go through the simplest one first because it was a tweet by Joe Rogan.
Oh, wait, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the movie Karate Kid?
Of course.
Okay, I just watched all three of them. Okay, so the first thing I want to say, and I realized this a few years ago, these movies are so ridiculous, and I love them. But the idea in the first one that there's this gang of karate toughs that are running the school, like I've never gone to any town anywhere where there was this gang of karate experts, this ready to kick ass. Never seen it. But what I wanted to ask you, Mark.
Cobra Kai, is that Cobra Kai?
Cobra Kai, yes. Did you ever get on top of a stump and try the crane thing?
I never did the crane thing.
Okay.
I've been in a lot of matches, a lot of sparring matches, and I did a lot of karate matches. I never did the crane thing. But that double front kick where you raise one leg and then kick with the other leg is a technique that can be used. Anderson Silva got knocked out by Lyoto Machado.
Okay, that's fine, but initially, right? In the first Karate Kid,
he didn't do it like this.
Yeah, well, that you have to do that, else it's not the crane. But in the first one, Miyagi says, "If do right, one can't defense. No defense to it." In the second one, in the second Karate Kid, Daniel goes to do it, and the guy just blocked it. So I guess Miyagi was wrong. But Deeper with Diego says Mark was 45 when Karate Kid came out.
Before we get to Deeper with Diego busting my balls, Miyagi actually said there was no defense to that kick.
In the first one, yeah. He said if it's done right, yeah.
Impossible. There's a defense for everything. That's that's actually impossible.
Well, I mean, there's no defense to a 45 to the chest.
Believe it or not, there is. It just depends on how close the gun is to you. I wouldn't do it, but I know people who can. All you have to do is watch a good Mossad agent or a Navy SEAL do some gun defense techniques that are right up on you. The guns are right up on you, and it's scary. Now look deeper with Diego. All right, I'm going to accept the ball busting for now because I am probably at least the prince of ball busting. Michael may be the king of ball busting, but I was not 45 when Karate Kid came out. I just want that for the record. I just want that to be known for the record. I was probably a teenager. I was
Hold
a teenager.
Yeah, you were Gary Goldman. There's a question here. I don't really understand it. It's for me, so let's put it up here before Michael. Challenge for you: if objectivists don't regard feeling as a guide to reality, why then objectivists chase life, defined as survival plus happiness, aka survival plus? That doesn't make any sense. You have to reformulate the question because it's incoherent. It doesn't. Objectivists chase life. I don't.
I think he's saying that we consider since we consider happiness and the pursuit of happiness as a value, isn't that chasing a feeling, Michael?
Well, no. Actually, so I'll answer this according to what Mark just said. No, if you actually read The Virtue of Selfishness, Ayn Rand says that the life as the standard of value and the pursuit of happiness are two sides of the same coin. But she says that only by accepting life as the standard of value and adopting values in accordance with that, then when you accomplish those values, you'll achieve happiness. But if you start off with happiness as your standard, then it's just whatever happens to make you happy. And that would be counterproductive because you could pick something that ultimately would cut your life off. That's virtue of selfishness. It's in the Objectivist ethics. So the question really, I'm sorry, maybe I'm misunderstanding it. If I am, feel free to clarify.
Let me ask you a question too, playing devil's advocate here for a while, since I'm having fun doing that. It says objectivists don't regard feelings as a guide to reality. I don't like that formulation either, to be honest with you. Do you have any problems with that formulation, or is it just me?
Oh, yeah, I don't know what it means as a guide to feelings are not tools of cognition. They're not guides to action.
That's different.
Yeah, but I don't know. But guide to reality is a little off. But objectivists don't chase life. The fact of the matter is that life is the standard of value. But when you're talking about life, it means the life as that thing. So when I use me, my life as my standard of value, we're talking about Michael Liebowitz existing. So the question, for instance, well, what if you could obliterate your consciousness in order to stay alive for 1,000 years, your body, then your life would technically be alive, and wouldn't that be the standard? Well, no, because I would be gone. You're talking about life as me, not some I don't know what the word I'm looking for now, unconscious vegetable that's, held together by tubes and whatnot. But go ahead, Mark.
How can I follow that up? I don't know. I suggest Crocage. You should check out The Virtue of Selfishness. I think you should read The Objectivist Ethics by Ayn Rand to get a little bit of a clearer perspective, and listen to stuff by Leonard Peikoff. And I think Harry Binswanger will help to clarify some of your questions with respect, or Tara Smith especially.
I am going to post right now. I'm going to post right now the essay. I'm going to find it, The Objectivist Ethics. I believe ARI offers it for free, and I will post it to Twitter. Crocage, I would really appreciate if you would actually read the essay and then come back with your questions, but just try to formulate them a little more succinctly and crisper, so I know for sure what it is you're getting at.
And Crocage, while you are reading that, I want you to do me a favor and hit the like button and subscribe.
Yes,
because we fully expect you to come back here with questions about the Objectivist ethics. There are not just us, but a number of people, I think, on the chat who can answer those questions very well. It's great to see learned Objectivists in our chat. Did you want me to get to the Joe Rogan tweet? Because I think it's...
I do, yes, I do.
Because I think it follows along with our culture today. We live in a culture of total distrust of the establishment, Totally understandable, I would think. The establishment has been caught with its pants down around its ankles and its genitals exposed multiple times. They
What?
have been, yes, okay, that was an analogy. They're lying to us. They are,
No, but why?
they've been,
Let's delve into your psyche for a minute. Why would you use that as the analogy?
because it's embarrassing. If you're caught with your pants down and your genitals exposed in public, isn't that embarrassing? It's an embarrassing faux pas.
It's embarrassing that you're thinking about Trump's genitals while we're on the air.
Why did I have to? I didn't say Trump. I said the establishment. I said the
Trump is the
establishment.
establishment.
No, but I wasn't talking about Trump in particular. The establishment has been lying to us for years. They lied to us about COVID. They lied to us about lockdowns. They've lied to us about the way the economy is going. And that just doesn't happen with Trump. It's been happening for decades now, but it's certainly happening with Trump, since we understand that there are actually recessionary indicators in our economy right now, and it's not all beautiful and great the way Trump wants us to think it is. But so the point is, people have lost trust in the institutions, and that's why there is such a hunger for a new party to come along. And there is one, folks, called the American Capitalist Party, americancapitalistparty.org. Go check it out. But it's also generating a lot of weird conspiracies, right? Because they feel lied to. They're beginning to think that the government, they're going into that thing again, where the government, which is just super incompetent, the reason they're lying to you is because they're just fucking up all the time. It's not that they're doing this insidious stuff. They're not puppet masters on the string. They're not releasing viruses into the world in an attempt to change our DNA. They just don't have the sophistication to do that, folks. They're just fucking up. But conspiracy theories abound with respect to just about everything now. Am I taking too long to introduce this?
No. This.
Wait, isn't it Michael who's always talking, even bragging about busting Mark's balls? Yes. But we had a discussion right before this, so I think I'm going the opposite. I think I'm going full tilt ball busting today.
Yeah, that's good. But I just think, let me just tell you how wonderful I think it is that we should start the Objectivist ball breaking society, because I think there's a lot of Objectivists who are stuffed shirt types, Yeah, just everything's got to be serious. We'll get them in there. We'll break their balls, and everything will get better. Believe me. Well, how's Trump say it? But believe me, I can't do the Trump accent. But whatever. But thanks for the comment, Robert. Back to the thing, Mark. Sorry to interrupt.
Worst Trump imitation I've ever heard. So there's another conspiracy coming down the pike, and this one is being fomented once again by Joe Rogan. I think he probably is the king fomenter of conspiracies, and this one is that Lyme disease turns out, this is a discovery, I guess, it turns out it was man-made. It turns out there's a lot of real evidence, quote unquote, that Lyme disease was weaponized and that it leaked out of a lab called Plum Island.
Yeah.
Now, I did a simple grok search. I don't know.
So did I.
Okay, I don't think that constitutes any real deep dive, but you can go deeper into it. And it turns out there is no actual evidence to suggest it. There's no primary documents to suggest that this was a man-made thing. There's no scientific evidence to suggest that Lyme disease is a man-made disease. In fact, it's all of its markers. However it is that these folks determine these things, by all of these markers, it seems to be an actual biologically evolved disease that happens to be in ticks, and so this is a false conspiracy theory that Joe Rogan is now perpetrating on the rest of the world. And I wonder how many people, what percentage of the population do you think are now going to think, the government's at it again? They not only unleashed COVID on us and mRNA vaccines to try to genetically alter us as human beings, but now we've got Lyme disease out there to worry about that was leaked from Plum Island.
Yeah. Their claim was that it was going to be, they were like going to drop ticks and use ticks as bioweapons. But the thing, and I also grokked it, and then I went and I looked at some articles. They said that the Lyme disease actually been around for more than 100 years. But the formulation that Rogan makes is what I find so interesting about these conspiracy theorists in general, whether it be Clint Russell, Dave Smith, Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, whatever. Tucker Carlson, for instance, once said, "Oh, well, evolution's been proven wrong." But he doesn't say there's some people who challenge evolution, right? Which would be true, even though they don't do a good job of challenging it, because evolution is a fact. But it is true. There's people who don't agree with it and that make arguments against it. Tucker just says it's been proven wrong. Rogan doesn't say, I just found out that there's actually people who claim that this was a bioweapon or this came out of a lab. It turns out, as if this is now accepted knowledge, turns out that it was actually created this way. And that is the nature of the discourse. And that is exactly the type of thing that Douglas Murray was trying to call him out for. Because he can say, it's just my show. I'm having conversations. Look, dude, you've got millions upon millions and millions of people listening to you. You, in my view, and I think it's a logical view, have a responsibility not to be irresponsible, not to say stupid shit like it turns out that this is the case, right? And it boggles my mind, the level of certainty that people have based on a claim. It's a claim that someone made. It hasn't been proven, but he's certain. I mean, it turns out, so he's certain of it. And I'm sure that millions of his listeners are now certain of it as well. And I would bet that there's a fair amount of them who didn't even do what you and I did and simply ask, "Hey, Grok, is this true? Is there any truth to this?" And then I went over to the other one to Google, and a bunch of articles come up about it. So I think it's irresponsible of him to do. I think much of what he does is irresponsible. A lot of these people, that other asshole there, what's his name? The twin brothers, Tate, not Tristan, the other one, Andrew.
Yeah.
Andrew,
Tate.
whatever. Yeah, he's posting this. Yeah, he's posting this morning how he's not afraid of Jews, that Jews tried to blackmail him. And when that didn't work, they put him in prison. You're just an asshole, dude. Like, really, like these people, and I'm off now a little bit, but it all connects to me, who are so obsessed with Jews. It's like insane. I mean, it's just nuts. These people are either grifters or crazy. I don't have the time to figure out which.
It's fun. It's crazy how these kinds of things can become a social contagion, which basically happens. What seems to happen is, a few of these anti-Semites come out and they get praise. They probably get bot praise, right? Because there's a lot of bots out there that give recognition to these people. Other people see this. Other people see that it's popular, and they join in. They join in just because it's popular, or just because they belong to a group that's passionate about something. It reminds me of a story of an actor I knew who got ruined by somebody who claimed that he sexually harassed her. She admitted a year and a half later that it was all fake, but she got so much attention from it. And she built up a whole community of people around her who claimed to have been assaulted also. They all started claiming to be assaulted. And there was a sort of sisterhood, a camaraderie that grew up around this abuse, this quote-unquote oppression. And they felt actual power from it. And they got more power because they ruined this guy's career. Hey, but Crocage says something here. He's talking to Akira Felix. He says, "I've studied Rand almost a decade now. As I said, it was a question from a leftist." I didn't hear that part. If it was a question from a leftist.
No, he said it afterwards.
Oh, he said he thought it was a good attempt to refute Rand. I still don't see how the interconnection of emotions, or the vital necessity for an emotional life in a human being, is somehow a refutation of Rand, because Rand doesn't act as if feelings aren't important. They're not tools of cognition, but they're extremely important for you. They are the color of your life. They're the spice of your life. They're what gives it flavor. They're what enables you to know that you're being successful or unsuccessful in achieving your values. They're very, very important components to human living. So I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, Croquet. So if you could clarify that, I'd be appreciative. I try to formulate it better. Not a native speaker. That's Akira Felix talking. Akira Felix isn't a native.
No. That is Crow-Cage. Crow-Cage is not a native speaker, so I think he can be forgiven for the formulation.
All right, that's fine.
Good.
Thanks for coming.
Right.
Thanks for visiting us. Keep listening. I appreciate
Absolutely.
you these questions.
By the way, bring your challenges. Bring them. They're welcome.
Yes, we like challenges. We promise not to bust your balls too hard. But remember, this is a fun zone. We're going to have fun talking about politics and even talking about some of the crazy stuff that's going on in the world, and even talking about the serious nature of objectivism as it should be approached as a serious philosophy. We're going to have fun doing it. So
Yes.
Beware. So we had
can I summarize real quickly the Joe Rogan situation? It boils down to bad epistemology, right? To not having standards of proof, to not having standards is what constitutes evidence. What did he say? Real evidence? Like, just the fact that someone's talking like that, there's real evidence of this. Just evidence will suffice. If you say evidence, it implies real. It's a wild redundancy, and it boils down to bad epistemology. Okay, but go ahead. I'm back to you.
All right. So from USA Today, we have a little. Would you call this a hit piece on Trump? The hit piece is. It says Trump says Liberian president speaks such good English, which happens to be the nation's official language. Now, of course, we know Trump hasn't even read the Declaration of Independence. He hasn't read the Constitution. I don't even think he reads Pulp Fiction, to be honest with you. He's not a reader. He's a guy who feels his way through everything, right? Including these kinds of encounters with the president of Liberia, who spoke perfect English. And of course, Trump was like, your English is so good. You speak better than some of the people in this room, which I'm assuming was the cabinet room. And so he's possibly surrounded by his cronies. Very telling. But the Liberian president wasn't offended. Now, I don't know if that was just his diplomatic way of handling Trump's utter and total ignorance, but he seemed to take it in stride. It's the press that got all unglued and said that this was a racist comment on the part of Trump. I don't think it was racist. I think it was just an ignorant thing that he said.
I think it's ignorant and it's dumb, but I think that, and this goes to what we were talking about yesterday, and to me, it is a problem when the president of the United States doesn't understand that he's dealing with somebody who's a native speaker of English, that it's the official language of his country. But then the press brings in its racism. So now you're going to get pushback on that. So where you might have had somebody listen, now they're going to want to argue about the racism stuff, because there's nothing that indicates it's racism. The guy could have been from another country, and the same type of thing can happen. It's just the media just, I guess, does not learn. But I want to just share something with you. Somebody, I think Persephone, asks that I gave some book suggestions last week, and they asked if Mark could give some recommendations as well. And Race Jacobson makes I think a very astute observation. Race is a smart guy. He did an excellent thumbnail for today's show. But in regard to Mark's reading, this is what Race had to say.
Yeah, that's. Wait, say that again. In regards to what?
So somebody asked if Mark could recommend his reading lists, what Mark would suggest that people read. And so Race came up, I think, with a very, very valid point.
This is about me?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Oh, wait, maybe it's not. Oh, maybe it's my mistake. No, it is.
No, it's
Unless
Trump.
He's talking about Trump. Are you talking about Trump or Mark? It would have been funnier.
Be talking about Trump.
No, if it's about Mark, it's funny. If it's about Trump, I gotta go back and say no.
Allie Beard asked if she can ask more than one question. Yes, Allie, you can ask more than one question. You can ask as many questions as you want. Um, yeah, so there was a congressman a while back who was promoting Obama, and I don't remember if he was a Democrat or Republican. He had to be a Democrat, I think.
All right, Ray says it was about Trump. Just so you
Of
know,
course,
Race, it would have been funnier if it was about
where
Mark.
your
That's all I'm
mind
gonna
went.
say.
Look where your
Huh?
mind went. Look where
Well,
your
that's
mind
because
went.
every time I turn around, I'm reminded of you and Razi and how wealthy you are. Everywhere I go, I put on
Who reminds
Facebook
you of
and
this? Who reminds you of
Facebook.
this?
They got you're
How does
speaking at
Facebook remind
Razi's.
you?
You're going to be speaking at Razi's big event. The big
What does that
event
have
is
to do with
about
health?
because it's about successful objectivists. That's what the speaking event is about. You were chosen amongst the select few to speak on
Because I'm
objectivism
friends with
and
Razi. It's because I'm
no,
friends
no,
with
no, no,
Razi.
no, no. I'm
He
friends with him
exploits my
too.
friendship.
No,
Yeah, but he
so
exploits my
so
friendship and he
Razi's an
doesn't exploit me.
exploiting capitalist.
Exactly. Yes, and this is not the official position of the American Capitalist Party. This is my own position. But I'll tell you something, folks. I like the exploitation. I allow him to do it. He does it all the time. You know what I like about it? You know what I like about Razi Ginzberg? Many
There's so
things.
much to like.
One thing, he's extremely funny and an underrated actor. He's actually a very good actor, believe it or not. If you've seen him do his jury trials that they do sometimes on Ayn Rand Center UK, he's actually a fantastic actor, super funny. But he also has the guts to ask people what he wants, and he will go as high as he possibly can. It doesn't matter who you are. And the fact that he has asked me stuff from the very beginning, when most people would be afraid, I love that. And because of that, I do pretty much everything he asks. I'm sort of a Razi Ginzberg automaton at this point. So when he's like, "Mark, do you want to do a commercial for the Objectivist conference?" Sure. We're in a pizza house. We go to we go to a little hallway outside the pizza house. I do a commercial for him because he
And
asked me to.
I screwed it up a little bit for
Yes, you
for a
did.
while.
Yes, you did, because you had a conversation like, I got to take this call. And then you go outside and you're talking at the top of your voice right outside. It screwed up one of the best takes, I have to say, that didn't make it into the film. Anyway, that doesn't matter. I was going to say something else, and now I'm forgetting what it was. Yes,
That
it's
goes
a
back
faux
to the
pas.
age thing.
Oh,
What's
no,
a faux
no, I was
pas?
going to go. No, what I was going to go back to was, I think a real racist comment was the congressman who, when he expressed himself about Obama and how good Obama was, he said something about he's clean and well spoken. I thought, now
Biden did
that
that.
was it Biden?
Yeah.
Oh my God! I mean,
You
well,
thought that
that
was
guy has.
Trump?
No, I didn't think it was Trump. I knew it was a Democratic. I knew it was a Democratic
No, it was
senator.
Biden. When Biden got booted in the '08 primaries, he was talking about how Obama, he's gaining traction, whatever. He's clean. he's well spoken.
That guy has so many racialized slips in the stuff that he says. Like, if you vote for Trump, you're not black. I mean, these are so condescending. He revealed himself to be a super racist, condescending white man. And why he hasn't been excoriated for that and still achieved the highest office of the land is a mystery to me, other than the fact that his Democratic cred somehow enabled him to escape the scrutiny that he deserved for those kinds of ridiculous statements. Do we have any more questions? Because I can go on to the next article.
Well, Allie wants to know why we aren't bringing people on the show. She thinks that we should be bringing more folks onto the show. And I don't know why we don't. I forget, to be perfectly honest with you. It's hard for me to remember.
There was a discussion about that, but we haven't been doing it lately.
No, we will do it.
Yeah, we will.
No, part of the issue, to be perfectly honest, if we're going to be fair about this, is half the time Mark is off making his billions of dollars, and I'm stuck here doing the show alone. So when that happens, I'm less confident to bring in, random folks off the chat without somebody here. Now, Jim Valiant, who is
was she referring to off the chat? Was she referring to bringing people?
Yeah, bringing people off the chat. Yeah.
Oh.
Now, when Jim Valiant is on, because Jim Valiant is a proletariat like me, when he comes on the show,
Jim Valiant
then
is not a proletariat. Jim Valiant is bougie.
No way, man. No
Bougie.
way, dude.
Look,
No
he's
way.
bougie, and guess what? You're bougie too. You got bougie values.
Dude,
That's
I
the
live in my friend's basement. When you
you
live in
got
your
bougie
friend's
values.
basement, you're not
You got
bougie.
bougie values. The bougie values are going to take you out of your friend's basement. Trust me.
Yeah, that I agree with.
Don't you?
But
But
yeah,
didn't you like Deirdre McCluskey's book on that?
I haven't read it on bourgeois values, but I
Yes, it's
would like to.
fantastic.
All that good creating Christ money for Jim Valiant. All right. What's the story? Get to the story. You're
I want to get to a story. I
taking
want
us
to get
off
to a
track.
story. I
Oh,
have got
Jim
notes
says he's
on
an
that.
aristocrat. Okay. Big surprise that Jim would agree with Mark. That's all
Well,
I'm going to
because
say.
I'm right and Jim's right. That's why he's just agreeing with me. It's true. Look, you sent me this article from Psychology. Before we get into this, you sent me an article from Psychology today. I took it a little personally because I think you're actually saying something to me personally about this.
I was.
Yeah. Well, folks,
I wasn't trying to hide it.
But this applies to all of us, I think. I think all of us can relate to the title of this piece, which is called "The Rise of the Rage Scroll." Now, I have fallen into this, as some of you probably know, where you get into scrolling through social media. Somebody says something that triggers you, and you go off, and it becomes an hours long, not debate, really. Nobody's trying to win anything. It's just a frustrating give and take, back and forth, that winds up making you emotionally less emotionally stable than you were when you actually got into the conversation to begin with. And there seems to be an epidemic of this. And if you're on X for any amount of time, you know this is the fact. In fact, anybody who's having any emotional turmoil at any time in their life, I'm saying, like, what the fuck are you doing on Twitter? Get off X immediately. Because if you have any kind of emotional turmoil in your life, you're going through any depression, you're upset, that's the last place you want to be, because nobody there is going to help you. Maybe some close friends will, but stick to DM so that you can talk to them personally. Don't make your feelings known in public, because there are a bunch of rage scrollers there. There's bots, and there are sadists and sociopaths online who get a kick out of harming people who are feeling bad. But this is becoming an epidemic, and it's actually affecting the mental health of lots and lots and lots of people. What say you to this, Michael?
I actually did think of you when I read the article, but I thought of me too, because this happens to me. I'll go scrolling before sleep, and next thing you know, I'm aggravated and can't get sleep. And the thing is, I'm a very thick-skinned person, right? I have, maybe I shouldn't even put this out there, but I will. Hell with it. I have one kryptonite when it comes to this stuff, and that is an unreasonable argument. And I don't mean that I have to agree with it. What I mean is, if somebody is making a case that does not follow the fundamental rules of logical coherence, I get annoyed. And this has been a kryptonite for me for a very long time. So sometimes people will say to me, "Oh, you don't like to hear different opinions." No. Anyone that knows me well will tell you I will argue in a logical fashion all day, all night long. When somebody comes with an argument where the conclusion doesn't follow from the premises, it sets off like a freaking tripwire in my skull. So this does resonate with me, this article. It's why I sent it to you. I think it resonates with a lot of people. I've actually interviewed that author before. I didn't know it when I first clicked it, but I'm going to reach out to her to try to interview her about that article, because this is a subject that's very important to me. Because you have, in my case, right, there's a dilemma that I have. Somebody recommended, they told me, and I think it's true, that if you're going to promote yourself as a podcast host, you have to be on social media. There's no, there's no way around it. You have to get on social media. And I think that's true. And so you have to have a presence on social media. But at the same time, social media is toxic. So I don't know if there is, but I need to learn techniques to use social media to my advantage without getting caught in the toxic stuff. But there's also the dilemma that I think it's important to fight for what we believe in, right? And you fight for what you believe in, you're going to come across people who are, they're not interested in fair argument. But I think it's important, like you do with the commies, to point out how irrational they are. That in turn is not going to be good for your mental health. So that's something that I think that we need to work on. I don't mean on this show. I just mean as individuals, as people, using social media for a plus to serve us rather than falling into the trap of having it, like it's pulling our strings rather than we're pulling its strings.
Absolutely. And Mente Minha has a question. In online debate, where tone is easily misread and polarization is high, does civility still have strategic or moral value? I will say yes, and this is as a person who often can get uncivil when people are uncivil with me, only in response, but that's not an excuse. I should not be uncivil when people are uncivil to me. Can harsh tone make a true message ineffective and even backfire? Yes, I think it can. I think when you take the moral high road, it takes a bit of an emotional toll on you because somebody is attacking you and they're personally attacking you. They're not attacking the ideas, and they're trying to do it in the most effective way possible. And oftentimes these people are practiced at that and know how to hurt you. And to take the moral high road actually does end up of making your message resonate further than theirs. I certainly saw it in the blood sport debates that I saw you in, Michael, where you were trying to maintain a civil attitude, and these people were just coming at you with ad hominem and just ridiculously rude comments. Yes. They lost, even though to their fans they won. In the end, you actually ended up winning. Apparently, Manu has a question. So if you could find that, I wanted to start talking about some of the positive things that one can do to combat these.
I think you mean Mente Minha has a question.
So that was Manu.
Oh no, that was what you just asked. Okay, so now I've got to scroll. I'm sorry.
So some of the suggestions that Psychology Today makes, folks, that I'm going to try to take seriously now, and I hope you take seriously. You probably already take it seriously, so it's probably more for me than for you. But one is to curate your feed and follow people who share encouragement, wisdom, humor, and unfollow or mute accounts that leave you feeling angry or hopeless. I like that. I think that's good. Although there's a part of me that feels like the people who leave you feeling angry and hopeless need to be fought because they're malignant actors. So that's often why I end up engaging them.
Can I just tell you, I want to tell you on a personal note for me, why one of the reasons I find that, because oftentimes people will attack me based on my criminal past. They'll really be mean and really come at it. But I talked about this actually in my interview with Andy Bernstein the other day. What they're taking for granted, the people that do this, and this is by every new venue I'm in, this happens, where they'll come out and, oh, you're a criminal, you this, that. It happened to me on TIC radio, whatever. But I realized something quickly, that they take it for granted that I'm not what they're saying I am. And that annoys me. It annoys me, but it also makes me feel good because I know what they're taking, what they're taking for granted. Because if they really thought I was what they're accusing me of, they wouldn't be saying those things to me. I know that as a matter of fact from history. I know that when I was that way, people didn't taunt me like they do now online. It's just like there's this one guy in Connecticut, for instance, and you've had some time to interact with this guy. He always goes after me until I ran into him. We were at an event for the radio station, and I walked over, I shook his hand, and I told him who I was. And I was really nice to this guy. And I mean, you couldn't detach this guy's lips from my ass. You know what I mean? He went overboard. Oh no, dude, no. Oh. But not long after that, he was back at it. And it's just, that ultimately is the type of people that you're dealing with, these people that do that kind of stuff online. And part of me agrees with you, Mark, that they need to be defeated. And part of me says, you know what? They just need to be ignored. You don't have to worry about it, Persephone. We're going to get to the recommended reads. Mark is going to recommend
so hopefully we could figure out for ourselves which is the better part of valor. So remember, curate your feed. Also set limits, choose specific times to check news and social media, and avoid scrolling first thing in the morning or right before bed.
That's when I scroll.
Both of us, this is a bad thing. 3, take action. When something bothers you, consider what you can do. Even small steps like sharing a kind of comment or joining a local cause can help you feel more empowered. Yes, complaining about something doesn't necessarily solve an issue for you and make you feel better. Action does. Action leads to a greater self-esteem because you are seeing how you can affect change in the world, and that's very important for you. Practice gratitude. Okay, post about something good that happened today. It does not mean ignoring hard things. It brings balance. So let's make a commitment to each other as capitalists here in this chat to post at least one positive thing, one thing that we feel blessed about or grateful for. And Manu, you can hold me to this. If you are on this chat, I haven't seen you here unless it's meant to Minha or whatever, but I haven't seen you on the chat. So if you can hold it to me because you're good at busting my balls with stuff like this. Complain with purpose is the final one, folks, before we conclude. Talk to someone you trust. Name how you feel. That's important. Then ask yourself what insight or change can come from it. It's important to know what to do about what you're complaining about. Don't complain. That just solidifies feelings and it gets you in a rut. You actually have to do something about it in order to change your life. And that's where change comes about. Use venting as a doorway, not a destination. Amen to those. Those are great suggestions. I hope we all use them because I know being capitalists and being sort of on the fringe of society, right? A statist, but generally statist society, we have a tendency to have to engage in fisticuffs with people from all across the culture and all across the world, as a matter of fact. So it's good to insert some of that positivity into our feeds and into our lives. I think it will help us feel a lot better. Now, before I get to the capitalist law today, what book recommendations did you recommend? I don't want any over.
I recommended Henry Hazlitt's Economic in One Lesson, Frederick Bastiat's The Law, and Ayn Rand's Capitalism, the Unknown Ideal. So you have to recommend different books than that.
Yeah, Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead. Try Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead.
Oh, come on, dude. Really? You phoned it in. You phoned it in. You did phone it in. Everybody knows to read Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead. They're looking for something a little bit less known.
Has she read Atlas Shrugged?
It's not just her. There's other folks that want to know. Look at her question. What if we've read both? That's the next question she asked. I knew it. You can't just phone it in. You got to go into your archive. That's phoning it in.
I think you should read Objectivism, the Philosophy of Ayn Rand by Leonard Peikoff. I think he takes Introduction to Objectivist Epistemology and makes it better. I think you should read Tereth Smith's, there you go. I think you should read Tereth Smith's Normative Ethics. I think she takes Ayn Rand's ethics and expands upon them in a way. So read Objectivist Ethics first, then read Tereth Smith's take on it. It's an entire book that will clarify for you. You can read about Ayn Rand's epistemology and Introduction to Objectivist Epistemology, but if you read Harry Binswanger's How We Know, you will really get into Objectivist epistemology and you'll see how it comports with scientific, I think, advancements today. So start with those things because those can be a little bit complicated. I also like, what I also like is the Objective Standard. If you want a periodical that I think has a great sense of news and how to frame major news events, the Objective Standard is a very good periodical to read. I think it's quarterly. The topics vary. They're often on current events and historical events, but they are also on personal happiness. I know Craig Biddle also wrote a book on happiness. Do you remember what his book is called? I read it a while back, but I don't remember the title.
I have
Craig
not
Biddle's
read it. I read an essay by him on rights. Alan Thomas is here to recommend Candide, and that might just be the best book to read in this, the best of all possible worlds. If you know, you know. Come on, go ahead, Mark.
Okay, read Candide. Okay. So capitalist thought for the day, folks. Look, remember, capitalism is a system of free choice across the board. If you believe in choice, if you believe that you should have full choice in every aspect of your life, then it's capitalism that you want to gravitate towards, not any other system. Every other system will rob you of your ability to choose. So all you people out there on the left who are for choice, I want you to start entertaining the idea that maybe capitalism is actually the right system for you. For all you people who are on the right who think that choice matters in various categories of human life, perhaps you should start gravitating over to the Capitalist Party, because we are the party of 100% free choice, full human agency and sovereignty. So come on over. You're welcome to come here and debate, and we are willing to talk about what choice means in human life and how important it is to exercise your volition and your faculty of reason in your life. So, folks, we will be here on Monday, same bat time, same bat place, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern time. Please remember to like and subscribe before you leave. Remember to share from YouTube to other mediums so that we get out there. Remember to write your comments on YouTube too. We need those comments. We like those comments. The algorithm likes it. And you know what? This message needs to get out to the world. All right. So you have a weekend. You have a weekend to do something that I think you should be doing every single day. What is that? Checking your premises. So please remember to check your premises, and we'll see you on Monday.
Have a good weekend, everybody.